What's up, guys? So, welcome back to another episode. Now, let me first start off by saying we've had the pleasure of having world champions on this podcast. We've had top judges, we've had elite level pros, but never have we ever had the top judge. And I'm telling you guys right now, this is a special episode for me. I'm excited. It's been a long time coming. And Sandy, welcome. Thank you for hopping on NPR.
Well, no, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Now, I will say this. I think everybody knows who you are as the judge, the Olympian judge, right? A legend, as you will. But my question to you is, what is your background? Like, how did you get into judging? How did you get into the sport of bodybuilding in general?
Okay, short version, I was 225 pounds by the time I was 12 years old.
Oh,
Never
wow.
did a stitch of exercise in my life. Then I became anorexic before it was ever, in the disease books. And I almost ended up being hospitalized. And so that got me on the road to trying to be, physically active and that type of thing. And at the time, again, way before both of you were born, especially where I lived, there was not co-ed gyms. So I started at a women's, world spa. And my ex-husband, who's a power lifter and football player, I'd go home and say, "Oh my God, I did 100 reps on the leg press with 10 pounds." And he'd be like, "Why would anybody do that?" And the typical answer, "I don't want to get big."
You want to get toned?
Yep. And so he had a bunch of friends that wanted to go down to Philadelphia to see a bodybuilding show, which I did not want to go see. It was a women's bodybuilding show. I had no desire, seriously, I had no desire to see it. It just so happened, I was fortunate enough, it was the first Miss Olympia by George Snyder.
Wow.
And I saw Rachel McClish, and I was in the Y on Monday, but I couldn't use the weight room.
What do you mean?
Women were not allowed to use the weight room.
Oh my God. See, I feel like that's a whole nother time ago.
What years were this? Like, just to
I
give people an idea.
what 1980. I started to look at weights right after 1980. That's when the first Miss Olympia was. And then I competed again, small world, at Soldiers and Sailors in Pittsburgh for my first show.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yep. And so I ended up again. You aren't going to know this, but when Jim formed the NPC, it was a male organization. The women had AFWB, which was the American Federation of Women's Bodybuilding. I didn't know what any of that meant.
Yeah.
I just was like, if there was a bodybuilding show, which there was like 3 or 4 in the state of Pennsylvania in the whole year, you just went to whatever one, not knowing different organizations, that kind of thing. And then I started to judge in 82 for the Women's Federation, and then in 84 the NPC and the AFWB combined to be, the NPC as we know now. And so I was kind of grandfathered into that, because once I started judging, I knew I didn't belong on stage. I didn't have, because, well, you have to remember, it was only bodybuilding back then,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't let myself gain 2 pounds in off season, so I was never going to gain the type of size I needed.
Did you, once the divisions like bikini, figure, did you kind of start ever seeing yourself potentially jumping on stage one day? Never?
No, 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 no. Well, to be honest with you, obviously I'm competitive, and I love. That's why I really got into judging,
Yeah.
because they would send me to places, and I would judge with people I didn't know, and it was always, can I fit in? Can I be looking for the same thing? So I was very competitive from my judging standpoint.
I love it. I love it. Well, I want to jump right into this. For those of you watching, all the viewers, we're going to do this a little different. You guys have seen us break down segments, do specific shows, but this time we want to try to give you guys as much value as possible in a short amount of time. And the best way we feel like to do so is by simply throwing a spitball of questions at Sandy. For those of you who don't know, she is a ball of knowledge, a ball of energy too, by the way. And there's just tons of information as an athlete, as well as a fan, that I have questions of. And I want to get them out. But again, seriously, thank you for having us on, or having you on. We're excited to get things moving. All right, first question. So can you explain the difference between being actually in person at a show versus being and seeing a photos online? With Gilco coming out, we see tons of high quality photos. So it kind of makes us feel like we're there. But I'm curious to know kind of what your perspective is from being there in front
Not
of.
a, not a chance. Not a chance unless you're at that show and you're actually watching you as athletes, because you have to remember, and again, don't be wrong, Gilco and them, we have photographers that do amazing photos and stuff. The problem is they're at a different distance.
Mhm.
They also, again, they want you to buy their photos, so they're going to make you look as good as they can. I mean, that's what they're there in business for. But you have to remember that as an athlete, you're being judged every second that you're on stage from a judging standpoint. And so I see things that you're never going to see. We're talking about, because I'm with two males. We're talking about like holding the abdominal area in, you know what I mean? Not letting, and you're not going to pick that up a lot of times in photos, you know what I mean? Because most of the times you control it, but there are times when you don't. And we see that as a judge.
Yes. Have you ever seen photos online after a show and then say that is not what that person looked like, or that is not necessarily what you're fully seeing in person? I have to know.
Oh my God, absolutely. No, absolutely. I've gone back and looked at photos and went, what was I thinking? And I'm going to be honest right here, until AI is judging the shows, every athlete has to remember that we're human beings. We are trying to make a split decision. And the thing that I think the biggest thing I want to get out there is, with the way social media is now, there is not a judge that I know that does not want everybody to look at those photos on Monday and go, man, they did the best, they did a great job. Nobody is going there to pick somebody that shouldn't be the winner.
I'm going to ask you a tough question.
Sure.
You said something that I absolutely love, right? You want to make sure at the end of the day, the judges want to get it right. And at the end, have you ever looked back and questioned whether you actually got it right or wrong?
Really? In 44 years, a bunch of times. Wow. Because when it's close. Now, again, and I don't mean to take what I was a competitor, and if you were 8th place or 9th place, that's a big deal to every athlete. But what I'm talking about is when you get to that pro show, it's Olympia qualifier. When you're at a national show and now it's a pro qualifier, and you know that one of those athletes are going to get a pro card, or one of those athletes are going to get Olympia qualification. And for some of those, that one athlete for the Olympia it might be they're going to be their very first time to be on the Olympia stage. And so, yeah, I do look back and sometimes go, oh, but like I said, I know what I saw when I'm, there. And this is one of the things that I will do. And, Tyler, Jim, I will discuss how I judge somebody with anybody. And I don't care, if somebody doesn't agree with me, that's the world. I'm fine with that. But you have to remember, we do have criteria, and I try very, very hard. And again, this goes with the different, divisions and stuff. Bodybuilding, man, it was easy. Biggest, hardest, most symmetrical person won. But now we have, parameters. So you can be, and especially you see this at, men's physique a lot, especially before they did the height and the weight in the pros. And you'd be the best physique up there, but you were way out of the parameters for what we wanted to see in men's physique.
So you're dropping gems right now, because I think the hardest thing when it comes to division sometimes, especially from a novice eye, they see the physique and they say, wow, right? But the reality of that is there's different standards now. And I think the open bodybuilding, kind of what everybody fell in love with of the sport, was that wow factor initially. But even that is starting to slightly change a bit. So my question to you, more specifically towards the men's physique division, and I want to ask this in a way that's kind of straight and narrow. We understand that all of these require balance. There needs to be a combination of each. But for the specific men's physique division, if you had to rank the following three: structure, conditioning, and muscularity, what order would you put those in importance for an elite level men's physique athlete?
Oh, man, that's hard. Okay, well, first of all, I think where we are now is you have to have structure.
Yes.
You do have to have that taper. When it first started, that wasn't the biggest criteria. And I can see Mr. Olympia down there is late as
What's
usual.
going on? How you doing? I'm late. I'm sorry. I didn't have my scooter. I didn't have my scooter to roll in faster.
I'm gonna get my violin out here, Aaron. So I think structure though is important. Now, don't get me wrong. You can add a little bit of muscle and change, the look of your structure a little bit. But I think to get to that Olympia stage and to win the Olympia, I think structure is going to need to be there to a certain degree. Obviously, you have to have enough density conditioning, I think you can get away with a little bit less.
Oh,
Oh yeah, well, now you and I can talk about your shows last year, but that's a whole different ballgame. But I'm talking about a little. I'm talking about a little off, not a lot.
oh, now you see what she's doing? You see?
Yep.
For those of you who don't know,
She said it a little.
I've been in front of
She
Sandy
said a
now
little.
twice, and I've placed second twice, and I'm coming back.
And I will tell
Third
you,
time's the
my
charm.
comments to people around me was like, you have to me, you have the structure and the potential to be rivaling for that top Olympia spot. You do. But you got to learn how to diet a little bit better. But no, I think
Thank you, Sandy
So we've been telling them.
Yes.
Aaron used to be the one who was cutthroat on here. Now we got Sandy on here. Just
Hey,
Now we got Sandy coming at him. Thank you. We're
Oh,
trying
my-
to get him to think a little bit more out of the box a little bit on a dieting. So thank you, Sandy, for that.
Okay,
I'm
so
just, Aaron, I'm glad I could help you. But no, you know what I mean? I think
Thanks.
with I'm not as big on conditioning as I think some people are, because to me, if you have enough density, it pushes the muscle out.
Yes.
It's going to give you beautiful separation that you don't have to be the grainy hard. Now, again, when you get to bodybuilding,
Yes.
it's a little bit different. But even then, when you looked at Phil and a lot of the top guys, you know, that won the Olympia a couple times, they had beautiful muscle bellies, full muscle bellies, and like
Real dense.
yes, and with Andrea Shaw,
yeah,
same thing. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say that I think that development and structure I would put ahead of the level of conditioning.
wow, I like that. I think if you were to ask a novice that question, they would lean. The first thing they would say is conditioning, because that's something that they can easily look at on stage, right? They say, "Whoa."
Every athlete, whether it's a male or female, would tell you that. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
So so you said that's how you see it. Do other judges see it different? We know that there's a criteria, right? And obviously there's a look. And I think that look is best described with structure to a degree. But with that, do you think that there's other judges who might see it differently, who might prioritize even muscularity over or conditioning over structure? Are there certain judges out there who you share a panel with and necessarily may not see eye to eye?
Well, I mean, there is to a degree. And if you want to talk about the guys, the Mr. Olympia with the open bodybuilding was a great, you know, that highlights that. Because first of all, it was a 1 point difference, I think, in the prejudging. It was a couple more, I think, a little bit difference in the evening, but it was, you know, Samson obviously has beautiful structure, nice full muscle belly,
Yes.
but some judges thought for open bodybuilding, he wasn't as conditioned as a need, where Hottie brought the conditioning.
Field.
And
He
you know what I
always
mean?
does. Yeah.
Yes. So again, there is some, but again, we're talking first and second to a small degree. We're not talking about somebody would pick Hottie first and somebody put Samson 8th or 9th. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So it's just it is a small, but I understand at that level, it's a big gap. You know what I mean? 1 point is a big gap to somebody that, you know, just lost, you know, could have been the Mr. Olympia.
Yeah. I mean, that's the difference between hundreds of thousands of dollars at that level. You know what I mean? So,
Well, and yes, absolutely. And obviously you have to remember too, with men's physique, it's like bikini. The quality of men's physique is crazy. All our divisions are now. I mean, compared to what I saw,
It used to
you know,
be.
30. Is any of you over 40?
No.
No.
28th birthday.
So that means I was judging.
I'm the closest to it.
Yeah, but I was judging before you were born.
Yeah,
Oh God.
that's wild.
So that means Sandy knows what she's talking about.
Well,
That's all that
that's the
means.
thing. That's the thing with Sandy and Steve, the amount of knowledge, like these up and coming judges, they don't have anything like you guys. You guys have seen, you know, Ronnie Coleman in his prime. You guys have seen Dorian Yates, Lee Haney, all of these top people. And that's why it's great to talk to you guys and even talking to Steve when I'm out at Bev's gym, being able to kind of break stuff down and just, I'm a fan of the sport before anything. So being able to kind of get your guys' opinion and, you know, just touch on these subjects that we probably are never going to hear from anybody else once you guys aren't doing it anymore.
Right.
You know, so that's the biggest thing.
Well, and just what you said is you have to remember too, I grew up under Steve and Jim. I mean, that's who I learned from. But I have been judging longer than Steve.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Crazy.
because Bev was still competing.
Oh
to the
yeah.
1990s.
Yep.
I was, yeah. Now again, he was probably judging, in the New York and that kind of area, but you know what I mean? But not on the pro stage, because he is, his wife at the time was competing. But I grew up under them. So I was mentored by Jim to this day, who I think is the best judge ever.
I love that. I know I'm kind of stealing the show here. I'm
We
sorry.
need, we need, we. I think we need Jim to come back and judge one more, just
Yeah.
one more Mr. Olympia. Just sit on the side of Steve and Tyler and you and Jack and Becky, just the whole panel. That would be just something amazing to see. Because again, us just upcoming, we didn't get that experience with Jim. I know he still got a little bit in him because we every time I see him, he's trying to flex off with his triceps with me. So I know I know he can give us one more year.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what though? That's what, seriously, in all honesty, that's why the NPC is where it is, because Jim always felt like he was one of the guys because he came from where you did.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
mean, he always did. You know what I mean? He always knew all, again, we only had bodybuilding at the time, but he knew every player. He knew, what was going on in their lives. He really was. Everybody always comments to me real quick on, like, I always stay after and talk to all the women, the women. And when people say that, I'm like, but the thing is, I learned that from Jim, because Jim's wife Debbie and I, when I first started judging, we would be waiting after the show, and this is a true story. And Debbie, when Jim would get done, because we'd be waiting an hour, 2 hours, and she'd say to him, "Did you talk to everybody? You got the janitors? You didn't miss anybody?" Because that's how he was. So I just started to stay and talk to the women, just because I was bored waiting for
That's
him to
what
get
it.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just a quick story too. Back when I got my pro card, that's when I first took my first picture with Jim, because Jim was just literally walking around the lobby talking to everybody. So I can see where you're getting that story from, Sandy. He's one of those personalities that can talk all day and talk to everyone. He's so approachable too. So I can see it.
Being younger in this and like hearing Jim over the years, it's like he's like a legend who's like almost like a we haven't I've seen him in person, but I don't know how to explain it. It's just like he feels so up here, in the sport of bodybuilding. He's so respected, and I think it's cool because you see him and you feel his presence. But I think now on a more direct level, you have Tyler, who's coming in and absolutely
And learned from his grandfather.
exactly. So you can see almost just like the parallel of the generations, like really adding the immense amount of value in bodybuilding. And what Tyler is doing, again, it's crazy to see just how fast the sport is growing over the last 3 years, let alone, where it is to today. And I just think it's really cool. So for those of you guys who don't know who they are, man, they are, what make bodybuilding. They're likely the reason why you are seeing these shows and feeling the presence and the growth of what this sport is. So I think it's really cool. But Drew, do you have any questions you want to throw out?
Yeah, so I know we were talking about the quality of competitors, especially in men's physique. I mean, bikini, there's tons of competitors, and everybody just looks so great. You could have a show to where there could be 10 people that just stand out, and it's so hard to kind of put everybody in one through fifth, because you could have them reversed in any way, and typically people wouldn't complain. But for the Olympia, when you got 58 guys in men's physique, when they keep coming out, do you know, like, and remember like what you're looking for specifically? I know you're sitting there for a long time. You see so many great physiques. By the time the first guy comes out versus the 58th guy that comes out, are there any people that you feel like you're not looking at enough, or some people that you looked at more just because of their name in the sport? Like, what do you think about that?
Well, no, and you're absolutely right. And that's why the one thing is, I know when we started doing groups first, some of the athletes got upset because they felt like we were judging you at that point. But I will tell you, it's not, because we're not judging you against an ideal. Okay. We're judging you against the quality of the other athletes on stage with you. So if we do, to me, this is where, and Jim and I actually had this, and Jim actually agreed with me, because to me, when you first come out, if you're one of 50 or one of 60, and I don't know what the quality is, I think you can get lost, because I'm not going to remember from 1 to 60. But when you come out in groups, I'm putting little dots, or however, everybody has their own little system. And like at the Olympia, I had 22 girls that I thought could be in that first call out. Now, when you come back individually, now I have an idea of where the quality is and how I'm judging you against what I already saw on stage.
That's a okay.
So now I got a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sandy, so are we judging the individual presentation?
That was my question. Yes.
Hell yeah. Because that's how I'm
So from our understanding,
He's right.
the individuals was never judged. That is from my understanding and what's been put out. It was always the judges doing the paperwork or tallying their scores. We never thought the presentation was judged.
And when do you think you get judged?
Truthfully, we thought you got
the comparison.
I thought it was the groups,
yeah.
and I thought it was the first groups, and then comparisons and first call outs. That's where I thought it was judged.
How do you think
I didn't think you guys really judge like.
But how do you think we make that first call out? How do you think I write all my notes? And I will tell you, Tyler does too, except I can't read.
But that's why I thought it was from that first group. That's why I thought it was from those first groups when we all first came out.
No, I will tell you, this is what happens.
This is great knowledge.
And Tyler does the same. Tyler does the same thing and almost every judge does it. And I've actually showed this sometimes to international athletes when they've come up to me, especially one of the times after the Arnold. When you come up in groups, we kind of start doing, like I do A, B, C, and D's. Tyler does first, second call out on his paper, okay? Now, he might have, again, 18 guys that he thinks should be in the first call out.
Oh, well.
And now when you come out individually, he's looking at you, and somebody that he had like second or third call out, all of a sudden we use our posing. I've seen him moving you up to the first call out because what you showed was so impressive that he did not see in the group.
Yeah. Okay.
And we all do that. And then
that is so crazy because I've talked to a couple of judges that said we don't judge your individual. So that's good news and good information that we're putting out right here. This is because
it's part of the process of elimination.
Going on my 5th year.
Yeah, you're right, Drew. It is. It's how we group you in groups. You know what I mean? And seriously, and then you have to remember that also too, at the Olympia, we had 13 judges. Okay. So every judge hands their top. Now we used to say top 5, but they're calling out 6 or 8 now. So every judge will hand down their top 6 or 8. And I will tell you, doesn't matter whether it's Steve, Tyler, myself, it's Roman numerals, all. And then the group of athletes that got the most majority of the judges that thought they belonged in that first call out, again, as a head judge, I know Tyler might do it. I know I do it. If I think they've missed somebody, I'm going to add that person in.
Yeah.
But if I have somebody in there and nobody else does, then I'm thinking, I'm probably a little off on that. You know what I mean? And that's how we do. That's what I'm saying. I will tell you, Tyler's winner hasn't always won. My winner hasn't won a lot. You know what I mean? It really is on the majority. I swear to God, it's on the majority of that panel.
That's okay. So that adds a lot of clarification. So with that, we've heard where men's physiques, more specifically, their posing is only 2. There's 2 shots we judge: your front and your back shot, right?
Yep.
Now the in between, the transitions, the flamboyant things. Since the individual routine is being judged, could that actually hurt your overall placing?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, wow.
Because judges get frustrated.
Yeah, yes.
We're looking at 60 athletes and there was
so guess what, Sandy, guess what? So this next year is Olympia. I'm literally going to do a comparison in my posing routine. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to go back to the front. I'm going to go to the back, and I'm off. I'm off. I'm done. That's it. That's all I'm giving you. That's all I'm giving you.
No, but we want to see a nice transition, but we don't want to see the half lat spread. Because I will tell you, a couple years ago, somebody almost, hopefully Ari doesn't get upset with me because he's a Master Olympia, but he almost lost New York Pro because of that.
I remember too much fidgeting. Yep.
Yes. And like I said, and again, there's so many of you that the quality is so good. If it's that close, Tyler almost went with the athlete. I can't remember who was second because he was frustrated with because the problem is when you're constantly moving like that, we can't assess you.
Yeah.
And the longer you're on stage, also too, the more time you give us to find your flaws. Because I'm not writing down great structure. I'm writing down back depth, more chest. So the longer you're up there, I'm writing down more things that you're missing.
Front, back, front, get off.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Leave the judges going.
I'm so glad we got Sandy on today.
Yeah.
But no, leave the judges wanting to see you again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, that athlete was great. I got to see him back in the first call out.
Yeah.
Is there any specific pose that you see athletes do or thing that they do within posing more towards men's physique athletes that you don't want to see anymore? I know it used to be like the hand keep moving in your front shot or
bodybuilding. Like we always say, stick to the poses for your division. So, the bicep curls, the half lat spread a lot, you know what I mean? That type of thing. Because lots of times they're not doing it correctly anyway, and it actually doesn't make their physique look better. That's the other problem.
I see a lot of people hitting a back double bi I
had a bikini girl.
The transition to the front.
You had a bikini girl do it?
Yeah, she got her medal and did a front double bicep. Yeah.
I mean, at least it wasn't in comparison.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, last thing on posing. We've heard a lot that you're being judged every second you're on stage. When you're off into the sides where you're waiting for a call out, or you're in second call outs, or you're in first, but there's another call out going. Do you think the judges will look over to the side and see somebody maybe not flexing or looking, something along those lines?
I had a gentleman down in Brazil lose his pro card because he could not hose his abdominal abdomen in when he was on the side.
Wow.
Yeah.
That one I know. That's crucial because I've been told hold your poses. Even on the side.
I've had
just stay tight. I mean, just keep the core tight. I mean, you don't have to flex everything else, but just keep the core tight.
Absolutely.
I see people start hiding behind other people.
Especially at the Olympia when there's so many guys. It's like, you know what? I'm going to take a breather for a minute, but I know that they're not seeing me. But then when I come out in the call out and make sure that I'm always professional from the moment I step on to off, because if it comes down to two people looking pretty much identical, it can come down to that.
And that's why posing and practicing that posing is so important, to be able to have the cardiovascular component to pose that long and hold it that long. Because I will be honest with you, when I first got into judging, the thing was get them on, get them off.
Yeah.
And obviously that has changed because the quality's so good, and we want to see who has that stamina, who can hang in there.
Is that how if there's someone that's a very close call, is that how you'll figure it out, see who breaks first?
Oh yeah. I mean, that hurt Ramon at the Olympia.
I was going to say that.
So, okay. So I've had the pleasure of, again, being in front of you twice in terms of outside of the Olympia. And the longest times I've been on, actually, one of the longest times I've ever been on stage was at San Diego. And
that was the Pacific USA.
She makes you work. I remember watching it on live. You and Jonas, you had you work it. I was breaking a sweat watching it. I was getting so hyped up.
And you want to know why? And you want to know why? Seriously? Because again, if you remember, Jonas was a lot more conditioned. You were not quite, but you, like I said, you have so much potential, and the longer you pose, because you do want to help we want to help all the athletes, no matter who it is. If somebody's not posing right, Steve will bring them to the front, then turn them back because there's crunch in their back. You know what I mean? Hoping that, because we know it's better, and we're giving you that extra chance to do it. And you know what I mean? And Jonas didn't break, and you didn't get any harder.
Your room is missing.
Well, because I'm a shape and a structure person, what I just said. And you had such a bit, but again, you can't judge on potential. You have to judge on who brought it that day.
That's fair. I know that one was a really close battle. I know prejudging was one way, finals another. And he did come back significantly improved from finals. But it was that show that also made me realize too. And it wasn't just because of the onstage stuff. You taught me something. I think you had an experience where you had an athlete who clearly won prejudging, but went off and absolutely ate whatever they wanted in between and came back on, and they look completely different. And in a situation like that, and they say in an NPC, I think that was an NPC show too, that once prejudging is over, they kind of know who they want, right? And you can sometimes see that through flows of shows. But if you're like, oh hell no, they look like embarrassing, would you absolutely change that in an NPC show?
Oh heck yeah, we've done it. We did it at the Olympia stage. Second and first at the Olympia. Yeah, in one of the women's divisions a couple years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Yeah,
you guys know.
yeah. Well, especially again, I'm not going to, and again, I don't want to discredit the lower places, but if it's fourth and fifth or sixth and seventh, not as thing. But when you're talking again, first and second at the Olympia, first and second at a regional show where they're going to have a chance for the overall, a pro card, qualified to go to a national show, I am going to look, if it's 1 point and we come back and I go, I just did it, wherever I was at the Masters USA. We rejudged 2 of the classes because again, you're talking about the class winners. We're going to go and go for the overall, and one of those athletes was going to get a pro card.
Wow. So now you guys know it's the biggest thing. I've heard people all the time. They want to go after a show, go get, or right after prejudging, go get burgers. Go, bro, you better keep that tight. Yeah, we don't play games.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean, man.
You have to. But
it's never over till it's over. And I mean, we've seen it at many shows, and especially at the pro level. I mean, a body could change like that, and especially with the competition, everybody's so close at any show. There's no easy Olympia qualification. Everybody looks amazing, and that's what we always talk about on here. We do the breakdowns and everything, and there'll be a guy who peaks good for a show, and then he might be a little off, and he might move to 7th or 8th. We've seen with Deke Walker last year or this year, actually.
Yeah, great example. So at these shows, you've traveled internationally. You've seen how other shows get put on. You obviously see a lot of the shows throughout the States, and there's a lot of different lighting setups. Would you like to see a universal across the board, a specific lighting setup, whether it's Gilco comes in or another team comes in and they have a specific way that the stage is illuminated? And for example, I remember at Chicago Pro, the year Drew won, the lighting was not the best. And I remember because Steve was actually moving us up and back to try to find like where on stage he can see them at their best. In order to eliminate situations like that, and I know it's hard, and I'm not sure if that's even something that could be done, but is that something that you would hope to see?
Well, it would be, I mean, in an ideal world, it'd be nice if we had that. But the problem is you couldn't, because so many of especially the bigger shows are held in convention centers. They have their own production crew that are going to put it up. You don't have an option to bring your own in. And I think that would make everything, so cost prohibitive. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
So my thing for me, it's always like at that show that day, as long as you are all getting judged under the same lighting, you know what I mean? Now we'll favor some, because if you're a little bit softer, to me, if it's a little bit darker, you're going to look a little bit harder. Yeah. You know what I mean? And vice versa. If the lighting is real bright, it's not going to help the athletes that are a little bit too soft. It's going to help the athletes that might, especially now because of the parameters, that might come in there a little bit, especially for the women that might be a little bit more conditioned. That softer lighting is going to help them because they're not going to look as hard.
Okay, yeah. I will find darker lighting. But
do you remember that Chicago Pro lighting, Sandy? For all those years, how orange it was, and it just really, even people that were peeled, it made you kind of look soft.
Yeah. Well, and that's also the thing, because everybody's trying to elevate the level of their production, and that's where you run into you kind of run into where you go to the production and where you go to just the show. Because if you remember, for many years when I was coming up through the sport, it was always a black curtain. Yes. Because the athlete looked best against a black curtain. But now with the LEDs and all the colors, it affects, oh my goodness, if you're
the colors you wear. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Drew. Especially for my women, if you greens and yellows and you know what I mean? I think that's one of the reasons everybody loved the Olympia so much this year, because they ended up making more of a plainer background when the athletes were out on stage.
Mm-hmm. So kind of keeping the best of both worlds.
1,000%.
Yeah. Selfishly, I'm asking this question, as you can tell, because I do own a.
Well, I'm asked to.
I'm curious. Like you said, there's a lot of things that can throw off a look on stage. But my question to you is board shorts. There's a new rule that it's now 2 inches. It has to be 2 inches above the kneecap. Has there been a situation where board shorts have actually hurt an athlete on stage, whether or not the flamboyantness of the color or the specific fit of it, or maybe not it necessarily, sitting 2 inches above the knee? Has there been a situation where you were judging that you were like those board shorts?
Heck yeah. And I will tell the first thing is, what do all of you do when you're walking out on stage? You pull that damn shorts as low as you can.
Yep.
If you have now we just talked about structure though. Think about this. We just talked about structure. And if you've got high lats, a little bit wider waist, you've just made more empty space between the lower, where your lats come in and your waist. And it will can actually hurt. I've said to Steve a couple times, again, nobody's telling you, yank them up, to your, to above your belly button, but pull them up a little bit because it might actually make your structure look a little bit better. And I've said that to Steve. I'll say, his should be just a tad higher. And he goes, absolutely. So that can also too, I think, when they're too baggy, that can hurt you. You know what I mean? I mean, again, we're really only judging the waist and bump, but we still see the whole physique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that can play a part, especially now that we're looking for a little bit of legs. Has
there ever been like a flamboyant color that stood out to you that almost was like, oh, I don't like those? I know that one's weird, but
yeah, I've heard some of that. Yeah, no, again, just like, I mean, again, we're human. And I think sometimes too, if it's real busy, same thing I've told the women, if it's real busy, you don't want anything that takes away from your physique. Because it is really your physique you want to stand out. The other thing that I thought, because I thought about this afternoon, before, obviously before we started, but one of the things I think that sometimes not so much the athletes, because I think you know it, but the audience and like spouses and friends of the athletes and stuff, is that with men's physique, your body has to be balanced.
Yes.
Because sometimes what we would say is a better physique, the shoulders are out of proportion, or the rear delts are out of proportion, or the arms are really thick, but man, does it look awesome. As a men's physique, you don't want a body part to be awesome. You want it to flow and be balanced.
Okay. So I've been saying this for years. I am the biggest fan of Corey Morris, the biggest fan. But now I'm starting to understand why people said like his shoulders were too big. Because to me, he just looked like an action figure that I wanted to be like looking at that physique.
Exactly.
Like glaring strengths.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it. It's like not glaring weaknesses. He had glaring strengths. That really stood out. You know what I mean? And as much of a fan, and like to me, I was like, why isn't he winning? Why isn't he not there? He's dominating at these these smaller shows, but I think that makes sense now. And I think with him streamlining his physique, you're starting to see more success from him. He won the Arnold.
He's bringing his shoulders down, his arms have come down, so he's bringing more of his physique and balance. But I'm sure all of you know how, especially when you're talking to younger kids coming up in the sport, don't let it happen.
Yeah.
Keep your training. So you know what I mean? It's much harder to try to bring that stuff down to get it more in balance than just to train everything for balance to begin with.
Yeah. Okay. Another one. You judged Ed Von Palmero and I at Sasquatch, and I will never forget how big he was in general. He was a very big, dense guy. He was probably the most successful transformation I've ever seen, because that was the year before the weight cap. He legitimately dropped 20 pounds of muscle in order to streamline his physique to step on stage at the Olympia this year, and now place back in the top 5. So it is not easy. I'm just throwing out him and Cuts did some magic trick to really bring his physique down. And I remember seeing him backstage. I was like, holy he is massive. But this time I didn't say that. I didn't have that feel when I saw him. But because of that, he got rewarded significantly better, went from 11th place back to 5th place. So I think that is a prime example of somebody who was too big, streamlined, and again, didn't have a single wow factor, yet it was almost like the balance was more of the wow factor in his look.
And I think that's one of the reasons that, Ryan has, won the last 2 years, is because there's not, again, and I have the same thing with women too. You don't look at his body and go, wow. Yeah. But you look at his body, there's nothing wrong.
As a whole.
Yeah. Yes, everything is so proportioned, so balanced. Up to this, obviously 2 years ago, he was the density in his back, which for a lot of men's physique, I always say to Steve, I need a little stamper so I don't have to keep writing, needs back density. Yeah. I actually told Tabor, hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble, that when I die, because we have our own gym on our house because my husband used to own a gym. So we have a big freestanding gym in our property. I'm donating all the back machines to Brazil.
Drew,
I'll take them. You can donate them to me.
Don't feel
it's been my feedback for ever since I started. And it's kind of cool. We had Ryan on here a couple of weeks ago, and he said he was that guy that was known for his core, and it was always, you got a great front, but your back is weak. And I'm kind of in that position right now to where I know it's something that I got to improve on. I can't keep adding. I'm right at the weight cap anyway, so I can't add a lot of size to my frame. It's just bringing up the just working on the shape. Yeah, just really focusing on, the peak and kind of retracting from my legs and just changing my body composition that fits men's physique. So it's kind of cool to know your weaknesses, but at the same time, like it kind of gets frustrating because, you can't rush the time. You can't just get the product. Can't have an Aaron Banks back by next year. It takes time.
Sandy said something to me too, when I was kind of running the gauntlet, and she said straight up after Sasquatch, and this is leading into my next question, but you said, Alex, take a break. Like you're close every time, but take a break. Come back early. We know your potential, but take a break. And I didn't listen. And I went on the next week, and I did Mexico.
Did you?
I got third. And again, even though you weren't judging the show, I just felt almost like there's a whisper in my ear the whole time saying I should have listened. I should have listened. But yet and still, my question to you is, do you like having people stop to do like to shut it down, especially as pros? Would you say like, hey, take the full year off? Like, have you had that conversation with a pro saying you need to take X amount of time off? Because
this is gonna get me in trouble with Tyler. Well, because we're, obviously, especially my husband too. I mean, obviously, as promoters, we want you on stage. Mm-hmm. But and again, I have never, and I will go to somebody and say, oh, I think you need to, to take a break, or I need you to do this. But if somebody comes to me, like I had it just the last week, about going to nationals, and I will tell you, if somebody asks me my honest opinion, I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to talk to you about where you are in life, where your financial situation is, what is your priority. I have some people that want to come to nationals just to be on the national stage. Their goal is to be in that top 15. Come along. First of all, you're going to learn every time you step on any stage, but especially a national stage, you're going to walk away learning.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so, but I've also, I will be honest with you, I'm a big one on life. I am. You're only going to be 21. You're only going to be 25 once. Don't give up those years. You've got to find the balance, because at 40, you can't go back and do what you should have been doing at 20. It just doesn't happen, and it's not the same time. So I'm a real big one on not dropping out of school, not giving up your life. There's a good way to be a balance between the two, and I've seen many.
Thank you again, Sandy Williamson.
That really stands out to me, and I think you can see it this year at the Olympia. You've had so many men's physique athletes opt to sit out this year to prioritize other things in their lives, and some had other situations going on. And myself, I just turned 28 a couple of days ago. I'm relevantly still young in the sport. I know, there's a lot of people competing into their mid 50s or 40s or mid 30s plus, but I had a reality check with myself. And again, they kind of just like, I heard Tyler's voice, I heard your voice, and then these guys here, they're always brutally honest with me. It's like, and I tell my clients this, don't be in a rush to get your ass kicked. Like when you know that there's something that you need to improve, you need to, invest that time in order to improve it. There you see your counterparts doing that at the top level, so there's no reason for you. And I think I justified it by simply saying, I make it to the Olympia, every year, or, so it's like, I know I belong, but it's a big difference between getting to the Olympia and then being in the first call outs with, Aaron, Ali, Ryan, and all those top guys. Right. So I think that's a gem that I think a lot of people sometimes they feel like they need to compete to feel relevant. And I think that's
self-validation. I feel like it's almost like that reward, studying for a test and then passing it. It's a reward, but you got to have that goal that's realistic. And I actually had my buddy tell me something today. He said, just because you're nationally qualified or nationally qualified doesn't mean you're qualified to compete at nationals, because some people just want to go. But the word competing means going head to head to, win a pro card. If you just want to go on stage to just do it, you're not really competitive. Not everybody's competitive at that level, and I think that some people, and I'm a full-time coach, Alex is a coach, and know Banks works with some people. I mean, regardless, it's not everybody is realistic with themselves. And that's what I try to tell my clients. And the biggest thing is, Sandy, you saying that you're real with these people that are going to straight up ask you a question. If you tell them that they're ready and then they go and then, they don't do well, I mean, I know how passionate you are about this. I know it would probably bother you and be like, hey, listen, I don't know why I told them to do that. You know, like you want to kind of look out for these people
That's
so
why
they're
I
not
won't.
wasting time or
Yeah.
energy. Yeah.
And that's why I won't. Like I said, I don't know where people's financial situation is. I don't know where they are in life. Are they, for me, most of the time it's women. So are they mothers? Are they, you know what I mean? Do they have full-time jobs? Are they, I've had people, and I'll be a big one. I nursed my whole, I just retired from nursing. So we have anesthesiologists, we have doctors, we have lawyers, you can do both. And it's trying to find that balance. I mean, Whitney Jones for me is a prime example because she's a mother of two, very involved with her two boys and stuff, runs a business and gets on the Olympia stage and coaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's fine, being able to find the balance in your life.
Absolutely. And that's a key word. Ryan and Terry was on the podcast, like you said a couple of weeks ago, talked about the same thing.
He's a father now, right? He's a father.
Yeah, he has 2 kids now.
Yeah.
He just
Newborn.
has a gym. He obviously has sponsorship obligations with Gymshark. He had a board short company. Right? He has all of these things that he was obviously social media in itself. Right? He has all these things that he's doing, and he actually had a very he set a standard for himself there. Like when he's in his season, that's his season. But when he's out of it, like that's season for his family. So the way that he broke it up, I think actually opened my eyes up as somebody who was always so cutthroat, and even Aaron makes fun of me sometimes where it's like, you don't know how to not eat chicken and rice, because that's all I knew. That's what I grew up on. Or at least when I found out the sport, that's what I, became accustomed to, the old school style bodybuilding. But then seeing the way how Aaron kind of has a blend, the way he is with his kids, and then how Ryan is with his business kids, his wife, it opened my eyes up to a new perspective. So,
but I also too, look at, you stepped away from this year because you want to make changes to your body. Okay. But you also started a business.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. And that's what I love about this sport, because I have seen so many athletes find a niche in the sport, whether it was with meal preps or, the girl that did the shoe fairy, she had no idea about marketing, and now she's a multi-million-dollar company. So that's, you know what I mean? And that's why I'm always encouraging athletes, to sometimes when you take a step, but there's other things that you can still be doing to enhance your career.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Now, I know we only have a few more minutes here, but I do want to ask more specific questions about the Olympia. When it comes to the
Hold on, let me ask. I want to ask my question. I didn't get my feedback from Miss Sandy from the Olympia. I want to hear what you saw and what you would like me to bring to this next year's Olympia.
More chest.
More chest. All right.
You got a nice back. You need a little bit more upper chest, bud. A little bit more.
There it is.
You need a little bit more density up there because your back is good. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that really gets you to stand out from from the other athletes, because that is a bigger, we see more athletes that have nice width, but not the density, as opposed to you have great back density. So that's always going to be, your strong suit. But I think from the front, you can show a little bit more density in that upper chest.
So when you
perfect.
Well, okay. So let's quickly compare the top 3 at the Olympia. We have obviously Ryan, we have Ali, and then we have Aaron. What separated? Okay, let's separate it. Oh yeah, no, it's gonna be hard. Ali,
we're giving her the hard questions.
Yeah, this is the unique stuff, because all we can do as fans is speculate, right? Use our own eyes, but the judges are sitting right there. So this is like an opportunity to really get inside your mind. Okay, let's start with Ali Bilal. He came from last place, damn near, to second place this year.
You know what though, and that's the thing that I do, because it happened in with the women too, in the bikini, the third place in bikini, is everybody's always says to me about, you look at names, you know what I mean?
Nope.
And you saw that, yes, and that's where I say to athletes in general, no, we don't. It's really the physique that stands out, especially for somebody like
and I
me.
can. I'm a testament to that myself. In 2021, I came out of nowhere, rookie, placed second in the world. So I've never really lied on that one. So yeah, Ali Bilal, he just brought what he should have brought, and that's where he got his place.
He has such nice density on his small structure. He really does. He has nice full muscle bellies. Even a little bit in that direction, a little bit fuller than Ryan. It's just that Ryan is just so much more balanced in every body part.
Yeah. So I think that one, I think a lot of people even had Ali winning in certain things, but I think as soon as you both said the balance, you
The way
can.
that you explained it, the overall picture.
Yeah,
You know,
it's that
Ryan doesn't
balance.
have a
There's
weakness.
nothing is glaringly standing out, because then that means it means it's a little bit out of balance to the rest of the physique if it's a wow factor type thing.
I love that. Again, this year's Olympia, it was exciting. I mean, obviously we had a lot of people, not necessarily. We had Chiron, we had Brandon, we had Diogo, and a few of the top guys not there. You know, I think next year's Olympia is seriously going to be extremely exciting because now we've had new names kind of break into that conversation now. And I think next year, and not to mention some of these guys haven't stepped on stage like with a weight cap. So it's going to be exciting to see, you know, how they even showed Jeremy Buendia as well. So I think it's going to be really exciting. This is probably some of the most exciting times for the men's physique division.
We say that every single year because there's so many athletes, and then there's guys that come out of nowhere with momentum. Nobody would have had Ali where he was before he did New York. It was kind of like he was where I was last year in the callouts, and he made the biggest improvements out of anybody that jumped those placings. So it kind of gives me, you know, more of an edge too, knowing that he could do that. I'm like, you know what? This is another year to just lock down, bring up what I have to bring up what they tell me to. All the judges say the same thing. So I know it's elephant in the room. You know, I'm tired of hearing it. So I just got to do it and give them what they want. And then, you know, hopefully I get that bump. Same thing with Alex with the conditioning. Aaron, now that you know it's just upper chest. I mean, you know.
Oh, I just text cuts. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Oh man!
It's go
So
time.
Aaron, don't come looking for me next time I'm at a show. Now, wait, before we go though, we're missing the biggest reason. I'm sorry that I'm on this thing.
No, we're not missing it.
We're not missing it. Trust me, we're not.
I already got the graphic up right here.
I gotta turn my lights on. Hold on, it's dark here.
It did get dark pretty fast.
Guys, I'm gonna have to ask her.
Ask.
Sandy, this is a universal question of Men's Physique Radio. We ask.
I hope you say, Sandy, I need your blessing on this.
I don't know. I'm nervous with this one, Aaron. But where do you put your syrup? Is it in the pantry or the fridge?
Oh my God.
Come on, Sandy.
Come on.
I live in California. It's going in the fridge, honey.
Oh, right on. I'm redeemed.
Oh,
finally.
Sandy.
I knew it.
Oh,
I knew she was going to break my heart.
Yep. I live on a ranch. I believe in the pantry. I'm going to have 5,000 ants.
Oh,
yep.
True. You're right.
I mean, she did give a good response. It's a better response than my response was.
I'm going to get that to you.
Oh, I can't give it to her. I can't give it to her. But I'm definitely going to get her one of those syrups in the fridge shirts. But all right, guys, I'm very excited to announce again, Manifest is sponsoring World's Classic. Now, Sandy, can you give us a little bit more information on the actual show? We got to tell the people because this is a
yes. I started this last year. Obviously, we added pro bikini to the women's because I do judge internationally. And when you go to international shows, there's a lot of shows that do the pro. Sometimes they'll do even a regional, but they'll do a pro qualifier, and then usually the next day the athletes get to step on stage as a pro if they've drawn their pro card the day before. So I was trying to think of how we could do it. And again, don't forget, we also have to keep with some kind of a budget.
Yeah.
So I knew I couldn't add a whole other day at a convention center, to the budget for the junior nationals. But again, like I said, so last year we added bikini. So what's nice about it, and it'll be the same for the men, you're going to weigh in on Thursday. So this is the biggest question that I did. Social media sometimes I want to write.
I saw it.
Yes, because when are they going to get weighed in? How can they step on? Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, you're making more of a making something out of nothing. Okay, yeah. All the pros and the men's physique in the NPC will get weighed in height on Thursday. If the NPC athlete does not want to, he doesn't have to. He can still go on to get his pro card, but he's not stepping on the pro stage without being height and weight, just like the pros are on Thursday, so that everybody would have 24 plus hours if they want to carb up and stuff.
Yep. Okay.
And I talked to a couple of you all thought that was a good idea.
Great idea. Great.
Well, because I'm thinking of the cost for all of you. So the women, we allowed them to check in on Saturday morning so that because a lot of them drove in and stuff. That way, if they didn't want to come in early, they didn't have to pay for a hotel room, that type of thing. But everybody told me the men wanted a little bit extra time. So we're going to do it all on Thursday afternoon. But now the guys, for the pro division, you're going to be able to relax on on Friday, because we're going to do prejudging for the junior nationals. Okay. And then when we start the finals, I think it's at 3 or 4 o'clock, we start with men's physique, since that's the ones that are going to be able to compete as a pro. So those 8 athletes, we did this with the women, will be able to go backstage. We have somebody back there helping out again, nobody has to, but if they want to step on stage as a pro, they're going to join the IFBB Pro League, and then we're going to finish up the classic physique and the bodybuilding, and then we go right into a session. I think some of you, if you remember during COVID, Spectrum still does all sessions. There's a couple promoters in Texas that do sessions. I think Sid Gillian still does sessions. So it's going to be, you're going to come out just like any other pro show, in groups, individuals, comparisons. Then you're going to go off. You're going to turn right around and come back and get your trophies. And awesome. So, yeah, for the men's, the pro division part of it, you will not have to be, at the venue, till like, 3:30. Well, really to like 4 or 5, because I think we were done by 7 last year, with the junior nationals. One of the things I do want to let people know that we're in a convention center. It's pretty big. The Marriott is connected to one side of it, but we are at the total opposite end. And there's a little street with the Staybridge Hotel, which we use as our host hotel, because it has full kitchens.
Oh.
And it's so convenient, for the athletes. That's one of the reasons that I like it. We're only 9 miles from the Chattanooga airport, and now half a block away, they put in a huge food city thing. So yep. I'm telling you, everybody lived at that grocery store, because, like I said, it wasn't even a full block away. Yep. And then when you're done competing, because you'll be out of there by 8:30, 9 o'clock at the latest, there is so many restaurants that you just walk a block away, across the street. So you can go enjoy, the Chattanooga cuisine, because they've got great restaurants.
I think me and Drew can both attest to this. We both had a lot of stress with situations with travel, and then venues being far from the shows just this past season. And I'm telling you, how athlete friendly this experience is going to be, this show is going to be, is an absolute game changer. And I don't think people truly wrap their heads around it, because they don't necessarily think about that when they're this far out from a show. Mm-hmm. That, guys, is going to limit the amount of stress that you have going into the show or those final days more than you ever know. Like she said, everything is going to be close, right? You have the host hotel that's a spitting distance from the venue. You have a grocery store right across the street. And again, not to mention, you guys aren't going to have to wait, in the venue all day. You're going to turn around and get your trophies right away. And that's personally how I love it. Miami Muscle Beach Pro, where I qualified for the Olympia in 22, that's what they did. Sasquatch, last season when I competed, they did that. It's a breath of fresh air to not have to wait forever. And the thing is, with Sasquatch, you still brought me and Ed Von back out because you wanted to make sure the decision was 100%, right? And then again, so you're not going to get underlooked. You're going to have an opportunity. If you feel like you got to be rejudged, they're going to look at you again, right? So those small things that you think you can, fix, whether it's a posing thing or whatever it might be, you guys have that opportunity to kind of correct that and go back on stage and try to get it. So I'm telling you guys right now, the experience is everything. And I think that's the number one thing that stood out to me when we were putting everything together and piecing everything together. Also, with Manifest, we're also going to have a booth there, and we're also going to be releasing brand new shorts that have never went online yet. And in person, you can even drop a code. So if you want to use code eBanks, right, you can also get a discount there in person on unreleased shorts. And you'll go still directly back to support and Aaron. So we're going to do everything we can to make this show as special. This is our first sponsoring show. Like, we're actually, it's awesome to feel like we're truly being a part of something like this. And this is something we've always wanted to do. So, with the Aaron's support, with, and everybody, the whole team, we are rolling out the red carpet for anybody who's going to be there in person to support us. So make sure you guys come out. Maybe we'll do something with Men's Physique Radio to try to get all the boys out there, but I think it's going to be really cool.
Well, you know what? And, when you said that, it's funny because I've already gotten so many people that have, contacted me about it and stuff. Because like I said, it is a great setup. And the thing that's nice about it is I always, again, now some of you might disagree with this, but when an athlete says to me when they win their pro card, like, what show do you think I should do? I always tell them, you just got your pro card. You have a physique right now that just won. Everybody thinks they know what their weaknesses are and what they need to work on, but without those height parameters, it makes a difference. So now you don't have to travel, you don't have to do anything. You can turn right around, get on stage with the pros, so that when you get your feedback, you know exactly what you need to do to be competitive on the stage. Yeah. Or I've already had 2 athletes that I like from a show, had them go a week later to another show, and they won their Olympia qualification.
Oh shit!
Oh yeah! Yeah.
That's awesome.
And win a women's physique and a figure competitor. So this way, you don't even have to wait a week. You can turn right around and get on stage, and we've seen it. We've seen it happen. Ellie Vethauer, a couple of years ago at the Junior Nationals, we all said she can step on a pro stage today. Unfortunately, we didn't have it at that. I didn't have it there at that time, but she's one that I would have seen that she could have easily won a pro show and got her Olympia qualification the same weekend she got her pro card.
Absolutely. So for those 8 people who do turn pro, I can promise you the opportunity is there. I've seen it. Shit. I competed in India. It happened to me. Someone turned pro that day and went to the Olympia later that day. I've seen it so many times that you guys can shock a lot of people because, like I said, guys, don't forget. I think a lot of times people will think, I'm not big enough. I'm not big enough. It's not just about size, right? You got the structure, right? You got the conditioning. There's a lot of things that you guys will, you guys can potentially have to expose a lot of people. And I'm excited to be a part of this event.
And I do. I want to, my co-promoters, I'm co-promoting. So it's with Robin Chang, who did the Olympia for 15 years, Doug Green, who did the stage for the Olympia for 15 years. So, the production part, they're going to bring. Now I lost my train of thought. I'm getting old.
And Gilco's going to be there as well. And
absolutely. And
we all know how elite, his footage is. So again, they're rolling out the red carpet for the athletes. So when I started to hear the things that were going to happen and what the athletes or how the athletes were being prioritized, it was an easy sell for me to be a part of this. So
thank you. But also too, I want to remind all the athletes to follow us at NPCJRNats and also tag us with their progress pictures.
Yes.
And I will, you know what though, it's funny because I actually I'm the one that does the IG for the Junior Nats.
I always wondered, I never knew that you had an IG.
Well,
she has 2.
She does have 2, but one never there's no post. I don't even know if
never post.
That's the way to be.
You know what? Real quick, the Sandy on Sandy Lane one I got when my niece went to college. I never posted on it. Then Jim turned 80 and I posted a picture. And I've got people say to me now, you've got all these followers. And I'm like, if you go to an IG and it says now 3 posts because his wife turned 70, 3 posts, that tells you I don't go there.
That's fair. And I remember because I was looking
nationals and my NPC my National Women's Workshop. Just real quick to put on, I can't put a plug out for it because I don't have any. It's sold out. I have because it's a free seminar, but we have 500 coming. I have 458 on my wait list.
Oh my God!
Oh wow!
I know this is my 4th year, and we have 23 pros that come to help. With the posing and stuff. Awesome. So yeah, but the Junior Nationals, seriously, but what I find out is more of the men tag me or tag Junior Nationals than the women. It's the funniest thing.
Because they're trying to see their competition. They're trying to see who's doing it.
We want to strike fear in the others. That's our game. That's our game.
The women are all quiet about it. They're not showing off anything. The guys are just putting it all on the line. Like, hey, how's he looking? Yep. Okay, how am I looking?
Hell yeah.
Which makes it fun.
It does. And then I know everyone's going on there. They get nervous. Hey, it's head games, man. I'm telling you, it's the small things. It's the head
It's
game.
all head games.
Head
You know
game.
what? Jeremy Buendia did it a few years back, the last year that he won the Olympia, because somebody came up to me, the Olympia used to be in September. Somebody came up to me in August and showed me a picture of him. He looked huge. And I said, if he shows up like that at the Olympia, he ain't going to do anything. That's way too big. Needless to say, he was 3 pounds heavier than he was the year before, won the Olympia.
Exactly.
But he played a head game with everybody.
Exactly. And that's
or when they post old pictures or old Olympia, or like Aaron when he's posting stuff from 2019.
Aaron does that. Aaron.
Yeah. I play the game. I love to play the game.
Yeah.
I love to play the game.
Oh man. But again, guys, if you are looking to compete, if you guys are interested, if you guys want to earn your damn pro card, June 20th, get your minds right, get ready. It's right around the corner. And how many weeks out are we from there? Hold on. Let's see. How many weeks out are we from June 20th?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I gotta be like 22.
We got 24 weeks. You can enjoy the holidays. You can enjoy the new year. 16 weeks
it's too long.
Prep starts. Get your mind right. That's a perfect time. You got people
perfect time
after getting fat and happy over the holidays. They realize, oh shit, let me start a prep now. Boom. They're gonna be peeled come June 20th.
And I will say, I will also give a plug to the Junior Nationals. We have the best goodie bags out of every show. That's one of the things that I'm so proud of. That Silverback, we have the t-shirts, but we have goodie bags with full product and stuff in it. So we really do work. And I have the best crew backstage. Alex, I have Alan and the Tennessee group.
I love Alan. I love him. Such a good guy.
His whole group is. And I have one of the best DJs because I have Tim Gardner's son. I have Brett Gardner. And And I think we have the best MC because we have Billy Garden.
See, I'm telling you guys, red
carpet. The whole package.
Red carpet. But Sandy, I cannot thank you enough.
Oh, thank you.
Coming on again. Like I said, we've had a lot of awesome people on, but personally, I'm going to say now, this is one of my favorite episodes that
this was very, very, very informational. Like,
I mean, insight.
you shocked me on some of the information that you were given. So, we thank you for being here and just taking the opportunity just to speak to the men's physique world and to everybody that's in bodybuilding. So, we thank you.
Thank you very much. Seriously, I appreciate you. And obviously, I appreciate Manifest. I will have to tell you, Alex, though, because again, I'm not looking that closely at the board shorts. And when I was at the Masters USA, and the first athlete came out, and I'm like, Manifest. Yeah. And then a couple guys later, I'm seeing Manifest. I actually said something backstage to one of them, and they said, "Oh, this is the best shorts ever. These are made by an athlete. He knows exactly what we want." So. Yeah, I had that from a couple athletes. Yeah, I'm telling you now, and this is truly just the beginning. And I know, Aaron, we got some cool things.
That's why I came over. That's why I came over to Manifest, Sandy, because they were made correctly. They fit amazing. So Alex is doing his thing. And again, appreciate you for the opportunity as well.
It's definitely gonna be a special.
And I love seeing one of our athletes start a company and it doing so well, especially since you're new.
Yeah. And it still surprises me. Like, I'll be honest with you. It started again with a simple, vision, and to see kind of our biggest issue actually having things in stock at this point, it's kind of cool, but we've always, even this channel, we've always wanted to find ways to give back and give value. Right. And being a part of, being a sponsor of a show, is not only this exciting, but also having you on this platform to give value back to all the viewers who have supported us as well. So I'm excited, and this is just the beginning, not only for Men's Physique Radio, but for Manifest as well. So again, thank you for hopping on.
What happens when you have a female on your thing? You told me 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and we're at 5:12.
Yeah, but time flies when you're having fun. We don't. It's not everybody. Somebody's like you.
Women, especially me, I go off on a tangent.
That's why you're so good to have on.
We had you up.
The energy. But like she said, we've already had it on too long. But seriously, thank you so much for being a part of this. And guys, if you can, make sure you shop Manifest. Make sure if you are somebody who is interested in stepping on stage, earning your pro card, June 20th, Junior Nats, get ready. And again, we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.